Hello friends, it's Becky from SustainablePrepping.com, your home for fear-free emergency preparedness on the internet. Today we are talking about incorporating freeze-dried foods into your long-term food storage. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found our slice of the internet. If you are not new, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here again. Don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our fear-free emergency preparedness content. Also, you can join us on our Facebook group, which I'll link down below, and my program, Food Storage in a Weekend, is still live. I've extended the date since we had so much going on in Texas and across the country that we are going to be keeping it open through the 1st of March. So if you want to get 1 month of emergency food storage made with real foods that you can get from the grocery store right now, a program that is completely tailored to your family's specific needs and tastes, I've got it ready for you. I walk with you step by step through the entire planning process, the purchasing process, the storing process, all of it is for you, but it's only open through the 1st of March because I do offer coaching sessions and my calendar is getting booked. So if you are interested in having 1 month of emergency food storage that you put together, you can do it in just a weekend. I have the program for you. I'll have it linked down below and I hope I see you there soon. Okay, so how do you incorporate freeze-dried food into your middle and long-term food storage? Now, for those of you who don't know, I do have a 3-tier storage plan, which I will link up in the sky so you can find that video if you're interested. But basically, I believe that you should have 3 tiers of food storage. The first one is your working pantry, which should be about 4 to 6 weeks or more, depending upon your space. Then you have the middle tier, which should be a 1 to 3 month or more storage of foods that you rotate on an annual basis. And then tier 3 is your long-term food storage of items that are primarily packaged for 20 plus years. So today I want to talk about how you can incorporate freeze-dried foods into really all 3 tiers, but primarily your middle and long-term tier, since freeze-dried foods are designed to be shelf stable for more than 5 up to 30 years, depending upon the food storage and depending upon how it's packaged. I think this is an important tool, though it shouldn't be your first go-to, in part because it's expensive, but in part because there is some skills to develop when it comes to using freeze-dried food. So we're going to talk about all of that. But the great thing about freeze-dried food is that you can use it to add a lot of variety into your diet. This is a great way to get fruits and vegetables in particular into your diet without relying on heavily sugared or heavily salted items. So if you have a family member that struggles with diabetes, for example, and you want to make sure they have fruit, but you don't want to rely on traditionally canned store fruit, freeze-dried is a great way to implement that. The other great thing about freeze-dried is it's a great way to get dairy into your diet. Dairy is very hard to can. There's not an approved home canning method, and canned dairy is expensive and you have to order specialty, but freeze-dried dairy offers a really great way to get dairy into your long-term diet without having to have it be quite as costly and cumbersome. So what kinds of freeze-dried foods are there? Well, there are 3 major types. The first type is freeze-dried meals. A freeze-dried meal would look like this. Now you can buy it in a can, a number 10 can of a freeze-dried meal that you would scoop out your appropriate amount and add water, or, which is probably what most of us are more familiar with, these bags of meals. This is from Mountain House and this is the beef stroganoff version. And basically you would just heat up water, add it to this, let it soak and cook, and then you would eat it. You could actually eat it right out of the bag. Now these are designed primarily for backpackers, but they're totally great for emergency preparedness. I keep a couple of these in each of my go bags. The second kind of freeze-dried meals, what I call semi-made meals, and that would be something like this vegetable stew. This is from Augustin Farms, and this is a mix of vegetables already blended together, but it doesn't have any spices, it doesn't have any seasonings. The third type of freeze-dried food is single ingredient, so that would be something like this. This is just a can of strawberries. This is a pantry-sized can from Thrive Life, and it is just strawberries. There's nothing else in this but the single ingredient, so just strawberries. Now all 3 of these kinds of freeze-dried options are useful, right? I have all 3 of them and I've invested in all 3 of them. Meals, freeze-dried meals, are great for go bags, evacuation kits, car kits, anything where you are going and you have to go fast and you need something really portable. The problem with a lot of freeze-dried meals is that they are high in sodium. They use sodium as an added preservative. They are often not spiced or flavored very well. I have told the story of the fact that I have another company that I'm not going to name that I ordered like a 72-hour kit from, and I actually tried one of their like cheesy mac chili bean dishes, and it was so bland, it was almost intolerable to eat. So when you have a meal, you're not able to spice it to your own perfection, and you don't know how they always sit on your stomachs. Sometimes freeze-dried meals may have added preservatives in there, and they may not agree with your intestinal tract, right? You don't know how your body reacts to the meals unless you're eating them, which they're kind of gross. In my opinion, even good ones aren't something you want to add into your daily life. So while they are useful, they're convenient, they have a meal that you can stick in a bag and go, you just add water, it's there for you. They are not, in my opinion, the best way to integrate freeze-dried foods into your long-term food storage plans. Again, I would reserve them just for evacuation kits or go bags. So then what do you do? Well, I would suggest that you focus on individual ingredients. Individual ingredients are going to give you the most bang for your buck, and they're going to give you an opportunity to get the most familiar with how to use freeze-dried foods. Individual ingredients are going to allow you versatility, right? You can add in ingredients into different meals, so you're not sort of forced into one specific meal. So I do have a soup mix, and that soup mix is great, but I can really only make soup with that, right? There's a very limited number of options I have because all those vegetables are already blended in such a way, but they only have one kind of purpose. Whereas if I had all those individual ingredients, the carrots, the cabbage, the beans, right, then I could make lots of different kinds of meals. So for example, I have Thrive Life ground beef. Now this isn't flavored with a particular flavor. It's not taco meat. It's not hamburger meat, right? Like for burger patties. This is just a plain ground beef. So this could become burgers. This could become chili. This could become lasagna, right? All of this could be added to lots of different dishes because it's an individual unit. It's an individual element that can be added into lots of different meals. Another reason to go with individual items is because of predictability. Especially if you choose to buy some ingredients and start practicing with them, you can begin to see how your body feels when eating that particular freeze-dried item. It's one of the reasons I love Thrive Life. These smaller cans are great for getting them into your kitchen and using them without having to open a giant number 10 can, right? So this is a number 10 can of milk, right? Powdered milk. This is a number 10 can, and this is a pantry size can. This is great to have in the storage once I know that I know how to use the milk and that it's going to be good on our bodies. This is great for getting practice with, and frankly for rotating and keeping it in your regular pantry. Another reason to go with individual ingredients is that they're easy to use. So for example, this is freeze-dried onions, right? And I can use these freeze-dried onions. Oh my gosh, they smell so good. I can use these freeze-dried onions in all kinds of things. I can add this to soups. I can add this to sauteing meat. I can add this in all kinds of areas. In fact, I could actually just eat these straight and sprinkle them onto a salad or something as a garnish. The great thing about these individual ingredients is that you can use them in any way that your family would best desire them. This is particularly good with fruits because you don't have to worry about cooking the fruits into something. You can just literally eat the fruits straight. So on these pantry cans, they have a lid like this, and you just pop them open. And there it is. It's just freeze-dried fruit, and you can eat this direct. In fact, my daughters love these. So particularly for the fruits and vegetables, you can just eat these as is. There's no cooking necessary. So if you're someone who is still getting used to using freeze-dried products, if you're someone who has picky eaters, then you can add fruits and vegetables into your middle and long-term food storage plans. And man, all you gotta do is pop open, take a handful, and you have a fruit for the day, and there's no sugary syrup, nothing. It's very easy to use, very easy to incorporate into a diet. Now, I'm gonna be real with you. It is much more expensive to add freeze-dried foods into your storage than it is to go with conventionally canned items. And that's why I teach in my food storage in a weekend that you primarily use and plan to use commercially canned items you can get from the grocery store and that you can rotate on an annual basis. These are great, and I have a lot of freeze-dried products because I've chosen to do that for my family, but it is expensive, it's costly. So I want you to keep in mind that you don't have to use freeze-dried, but there are some places where it might be really helpful, particularly if you have specialty diets. If you have someone who has diabetes, or if you have someone with an autoimmune disease and they really have to watch their sodium or their sugar or other preservatives that could upset their bodies, it would be great to have something like a single ingredient freeze-dried product product because this is just strawberries. There's no sugar, there's no salt. This is just strawberries that have been freeze-dried, not getting the additional preservatives and salt that you would in traditionally canned, commercially canned items. Freeze-dried foods are also a really great way to fill in the gaps nutritionally with what you can actually get canned. So for example, I can get freeze-dried kale that I can add into soups, I can add into my beans and greens recipe, I can add this into all kinds of recipes and rehydrate it or not. You can always powder it and use it in a smoothie, right? And this allows me a lot of versatility, but can I get kale traditionally canned? No, I've never seen traditionally canned kale, and even if I did, it would be kind of soupy and gross like canned spinach, and I'm not Popeye, so I don't want to eat that. So it allows you a lot more variety, and it allows you to fill in the gaps. It allows you to have more fruit and more variety of vegetables in your long-term food storage plans. Another great reason to use freeze-dried food is you can incorporate dairy. Now you can buy canned dairy, you can buy canned cheese and canned butter, but it's really, really expensive. Like, it makes this stuff look super cheap. But here is a can of just cheddar cheese, and they're cheddar cheese shreds, and you just rehydrate them, or you can eat them as like chips, but you can just rehydrate them a little bit, you put them on a pizza, you put them on something, and they melt, right? This isn't a powder, you're not making a sauce, you can use it as regular cheese. Now again, I like these smaller pantry sizes because I can use them in my everyday life and practice with them, and in a SHTF situation, in a long-term grid down situation, this for me is a much better amount of something, so I'm not forced to use it up more quickly, right? I just like this size. Number 10 cans are great and have their place, and I have plenty of them, but what I want to emphasize here is things like dairy in particular that don't have a good commercial canning option often get left out of middle term and long term food storage plans because it's hard to store them. This, for example, gives you that dairy. It gives you that option back into your middle term and long term food storage plans. Another great thing about using freeze-dried products is that they have a really long shelf life. So for example, this vegetable soup that I showed you from Augustin Farm has a 25-year shelf life, and I bought this in March. So I wouldn't have to worry about using and replacing this for at least 25 years. And probably if it's stored well, it could eke out another 5 years, give or take, right? So this can become a nice part of a long-term food storage, so not your middle tier that you're replacing every year or so, but your long-term food storage to fill in the gaps for fruits, vegetables, and dairy. There's lots of different brands that you can get. There's Preparedness Essentials, there's Augustin Farm, there's Honeyville, right? I happen to love Thrive Life. One of the reasons I really like Thrive Life is because with this pantry can size, you can actually try a bunch of different ingredients, a bunch of different single elements, eat them in your everyday life, see how your body reacts, and then you can make the decision to store really long-term food storage items like the big number 10 cans. Another thing I like is that they have dairy, and it's really affordable considering how expensive dairy is. They also have different kinds of meat cuts and a ton of fruits and vegetables. They have the largest variety that I've been able to find. Another thing I really like about Thrive Life is that you can get on a subscription so that you can get it every month and just have it set, and it's much less costly when you're looking at something month to month than trying to buy several big bulk orders in order to make the shipping and stuff like that worth it. So I like Thrive Life. Now, truth be told, I'm a Thrive Life affiliate, but I liked Thrive Life before I became an affiliate. And I only became an affiliate because I was already buying so much of it. So this is my recommendation. I like the quality. I like this size for you to practice with. And I just think it's a really good product. At the end of the day, though, whether you decide to go with any of the companies that I've shown you, or you pick a different one that you find online and you've researched, the point is that you want to be able to test some of it on your own bodies, right? I'm always a big proponent of eating what you store and storing what you eat, and then using it to fill in the gaps. I don't recommend your entire storage be just freeze-dried foods, but I do think that particularly the fruit, the vegetable, and the dairy, these are great places to fill in the gaps with what you can't get from the grocery store in conventional canning. You don't have to do it all at once. In fact, doing little by little is actually better. And that way, every month for the next several months, you can be adding to your stores with things that you know that you like, things that you know how to use. That's my recommendations for using freeze-dried foods. Comment down below and let me know, do you use freeze-dried foods? I know my daughters love freeze-dried fruit, so they just eat that anyway. They love it, so I know that will get eaten in our family. We've begun using some freeze-dried vegetables in soups, like those onions are so good in a good soup. And we are beginning to experiment with some dairy. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, find us on Facebook, and check out my food storage in a weekend course, because I am here to help you get your entire month of food storage totally squared away, and you can do it in just one weekend. How about that? Until the next video, bye.